Hello, book-obsessed people, and welcome to I Eat Books, an all-new BookTube channel. Today is the first day of September, and I know many of you are getting ready to go back to school. I already started my final year of graduate school about 3 weeks ago, and I can't believe this is the last September where I have a whole new class to learn and a whole new set of academic textbooks to read. Knowing me, I'll probably get bored 3 years out of school and want to go back for my doctorate, because that's pretty much what happened with my master's degree. So who knows, this may not be my last back to school time. But it's also a whole new month, whether you are in school or not, and I want to go over the books I plan on reading this month. For September, I decided instead of buying a whole bunch of new books and adding to an already large collection, I was going to focus on going through my bookshelf and reading all the books that I've purchased but have not gotten to yet. And I know all of you have your own long list of books on your shelf that you haven't read yet. So I'm really excited to finally dive into some of these books. Some of them may be a bit of a struggle because there's a reason I haven't read them yet. I bought them thinking hypothetically someday I was going to be in the mood, and I'm still not in the mood, but I'm going to publicly challenge myself to finally get through all these books and then hopefully do a few reviews with some honest feedback on each one of them. So let's get started. The first book I'll be reading in the month of September is the second book in the Prince of Nothing series, The Warrior Prophet by R. Scott Baker. I actually already read half of this book back in June because a friend of mine is lending me the whole series. He absolutely adores this series and he's desperate to get me into it so we can talk about it. And for some reason, back in June, I read the first book and I liked it enough. It was kind of a slow read. R. Scott Baker's writing is a little thick and can be a little confusing. But I got through it and I liked it well enough, but for some reason I'm having a hard time getting into the second book, and I'm not sure if it was because I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for it. This book is great for anyone who wants to read a more adult fantasy series. It's very adult, lots of sexual themes. It reminds me a lot of Game of Thrones, of course, but it also reminds me of Joe Abercrombie's work. The characters in this series are much older. They're in their 30s and over, and I think half the reason I was having a hard time getting into this book was because I don't connect with the characters that well. The kind of almost the appeal of this book series is that every character is so flawed that you have a hard time finding one you even like, let alone one that you can kind of personify with. And I think the reason I'm having a really hard time forming a special connection to characters in this series is because so far all the female characters are prostitutes. So I know that's not a really great advertisement for this book series, but I really want to give this book a second chance. And once I get through it, I can get the third book in the series and then give you guys an honest review. So this is The Warrior Prophet by R. Scott Baker. The next book I'm going to be reading this month is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I actually did read this book probably like 15 years ago, and I do not remember much of it at all. So I'm really excited because I love Neil Gaiman's work, especially his short stories. And I bought the brand new Author's Preferred Text that just came out. So I think this is a great opportunity to reread Neverwhere, and I can't wait to review it with you guys because I don't remember a single thing from this book. Next book that I'm going to be reading is The Birth of Venus by Sarah Dunant. I don't know anything about this book other than it's historical fiction. I picked it up at my local used bookshop probably about 6 months ago, and it's time to read it and give it a good evaluation. If anybody is interested in this book, because like I said, right now I have no information. I know it takes place in Renaissance Italy, but send me a message if you would like me to update you while I'm reading it, and hopefully if it's any good, I will be posting a video about it later on in the month. So we also have Atonement by Ian McEwan. I've read a few Ian McEwan books. He's one of those model authors that as an English major I definitely had to read, and as a writer I definitely must study his style. Atonement, I've seen the movie. I wasn't a fan, but like I said, I really like Ian McEwan's writing style, and I know this is one of those books that you have to read before you die. I've owned this for years. It's time to read it. I'm atoning myself to this book. Next we have Little Bee by Chris Cleave. This is another book I picked up during my undergrad years because a professor told me to, and I never got around to actually reading it. It's really beat up from being moved from one apartment to another apartment to a house to an apartment. But it's one of those contemporary literary fiction novels that everybody says you need to read. I don't even really understand what this book is about yet. I know it's about two women, and that's what the back cover said. So, interested to dive into this. If you have any thoughts or comments on this book, whether you loved it or hated it, or whether you feel I should even be bothering to read it, or if you think I'm crazy because I haven't read it yet, please leave me a comment because I would love to know. I'm definitely diving into deep, dark territory this month with all these different books I haven't read yet. A young adult new fiction book that I will be reading this month is Darken the Stars by Amy A. Bartol. It is the third and final book in the Kricket series. I've been pumping that series a lot on the channel recently as I breeze through the first two books in the month of August. Darken the Stars, I'm really excited about. It comes out on September 8th, and I will be purchasing my new book through Kindle. But I think later on I'm definitely going to buy physical copies of the entire series because I really enjoyed the Kricket series, and she's an independent publisher and I want to support her as much as possible. So if you are also interested in reading the Kricket series, I link to it below because I know many people haven't heard of it yet. So it's a great book series for young adult fantasy lovers. I do have a couple nonfiction books that I will be reading this month as well. The first one is Good Works. This is for my cause marketing class, and it's basically about how different companies and organizations can put their finances to good use by funding social initiatives and good causes around the world through product sales, through volunteer hours, through raising donations, through spreading the word. And this is good for the companies too, because the modern consumer, especially millennials, we really like to consider whether or not a company is doing any good works, if they're donating to any good causes. We're a very cause-oriented generation, and we look to our companies to do the same before we consider giving them money. So companies deciding to participate in different organizations is good not only for the world, but it's also good for their bottom line. So this is a very interesting book, and if you are interested in business or in nonprofit organizations, or in even finding ways that you can encourage your company to do more good, definitely recommend this book. Last but not least, we have Essentialism by Greg McKeown, probably known as one of the best books of all time right now, at least according to all my favorite bloggers and podcasters. This is an important book for me to read right now because I'm going through a very transformative time in my life, and I'm trying to prioritize my goals and really consider what I want to do with my everyday, if I'm going in the right direction or if I need to kind of put on the brakes and change gears. So I've heard amazing things about this book. I've read a few pages here and there, and I'm really excited to dive into this. So if you have any comments on this book, please let me know. I would love to discuss it. And it's great because I was for a while only reading nonfiction books, and I'm kind of trying to find a way to balance fiction reading with nonfiction reading. So we're going to see how it goes with this. But now that I've got a clear plan of all the books I want to read this month, I think I will reach my goals. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in today. Once again, if you have any comments or suggestions based on the books that I've posted today, please leave your comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to the I Eat Books newsletter. The blog will be launching on September 14th, 2015. It's now an affiliate brand with Surviving Spark Studios, and we're going to be growing and doing amazing things as soon as I learn how to operate a video camera. So until next time, everybody enjoy your first day of September and your first day back to school. Bye-bye.